Good evening, good morning, whenever you watch this. I'm Jane Velez Mitchell here at facebook.com/Jane Velez Mitchell, and I am absolutely delighted to be talking tonight with somebody I admire greatly, and she knows probably more about the Jodi Arias case than anybody else, dare I say, except the defendant herself. Is she still a defendant, Beth Karas? It's good to see you. Beth Karas, you have a new subscription site that is the place to go for all the information on this case. Tell us briefly about that, and then tell us about these dramatic developments today vis-a-vis the media and this retrial to see whether Jodi Arias lives or dies.
Well, thanks for having me on, Jane. My site is called karrasoncrime.com. It's a subscription site for $5.99 a month. You can get more than you care to know about the Arias trial, because I am in the courtroom basically logging the trial, and every 2 minutes you get an update. It is the most comprehensive place, besides getting a court transcript, to find out what's going on in the courtroom. Then I give a video wrap-up at the end of court days. I'm posting documents. The motion that the Court of Appeals is considering right now is on my site. The order that came down from that court, which we'll talk about in a second, is on my site. So you'll get up-to-the-minute documents, the court schedule, the calendar, details of what's happening in the courtroom, my analysis, video wrap-ups, and more, and photos coming out of the courtroom.
Wow.
So here's the latest, Jane. The judge, as you know, shut the media out for the first defense witness last Thursday afternoon. And she had a hearing in chambers where she gave her reasons for it, but the media were not allowed. The media had no opportunity to be heard against this, application to boot the media out. The general public and the media shut down the cameras, nothing. And a couple of the local stations and the Arizona Republic newspaper got together, hired a local attorney here who's actually with a big national firm, international firm, he was with Steptoe & Johnson. He's with a different firm now. His name is David Bodney. Bodney is a great First Amendment lawyer. He filed a request for the judge to stay the trial, at least the closed portions of the trial, last Friday, but the judge said, no, I'm not going to do that. He's like, well, we've already filed a petition in the Court of Appeals asking them to reverse your order because it's unconstitutional. We're going to ask them to grant a stay, and that's what happened today.
Well,
and
let me ask you a layperson's question. The bottom line here, is it not true that the bottom line is that nobody will take the stand and defend Jodi Arias if they're on camera or if they're covered in any way?
Well, it's not clear that it...
Remember Alice LaViolette. Alice LaViolette was a defense witness who was the domestic violence expert in the original trial, who took the stand and basically agreed with Jodi Arias that she was a victim of domestic violence, and she got subjected to such a hate campaign, she basically had almost like what seemed like some kind of breakdown and was briefly hospitalized for stress during her testimony, because there were so many people basically saying, fire her, get rid of her, don't buy her books. I mean, isn't the bottom line that they don't want, that the defense thinks that nobody will speak for Jodi Arias if there's media there to identify them?
Well, it's not nobody. They said there are select witnesses. So clearly there are more than just the mystery witness who is on the stand now. But we don't know who they are. And under the Arizona Code of Criminal Procedure, the rules of criminal procedure, there are certain times, and they are rare, when you can actually kick everybody out, the general public and the media. And that's where you show that there's a clear and present danger to the witness. That's what we see in cases of that's what we see in cases of national security. When there's an undercover agent or maybe a mob informant, there's a clear and present danger that lives are in danger in a very real sense. The courtroom gets sealed, their identity remains undisclosed. And that's what the judge apparently is relying on here, because the other section of the law at play says, for embarrassing or humiliating testimony, the judge may, in his or her discretion, boot out the general public, but never the media. You know, that's somebody doesn't want to talk about a particular episode, where you don't want just anyone hearing it, but the media has its own rules for reporting things and is not going to be too salacious, whatever.
Right, because frankly, Beth, if you threw people out of court every time something embarrassing was coming up, you wouldn't have had anybody in court during most of the main trial, because it was just one salacious, embarrassing anecdote after the next, half of which I think at least were made up by the defendant who testified, but who knows? It was still embarrassing all the way around.
Yes, indeed. So now it seems that Kirk Nurmi, at one point today, actually said, well, I'm not saying, Your Honor, this is to a 3-judge panel, that it should all be closed, the defense case. Closing arguments could be open to the public. And we're like, what is he talking about? He wants to close down the entire defense case. But another time he referred to select witnesses who don't want to testify if the courtroom is open. So, I mean, I really think that the law is squarely on the side of the media in favor of a public courtroom, but I don't know what this Court of Appeals is going to do. What they did was they granted a stay for the closed portion of the trial, at least the way the judge has it ordered right now, whoever's on the stand, and some people are reporting that it's Jodi Arias, whoever it is, it cannot continue to be closed. But the court also said the judge could employ a less restrictive remedy until they decide the case on the merits, until they decide the
hold on. You said something pretty extraordinary. Some people think it's Jodi Arias herself on the witness stand.
Well, listen, I just said it. I repeated what the local Fox station here has said, but I'm not taking that as indeed the case, but it may be. Didn't Kirk Nurmi say something about her taking the stand during his opening statement? I don't remember him referring to her taking the stand, and frankly, I didn't think she would take the stand in this case because the rules of evidence are different in the penalty phase, and hearsay is admissible. So everything she said about allegations of abuse by Travis Alexander, she could simply repeat to a therapist or an expert witness, and that expert could get on the stand and say, I spoke to Jodi for 18 hours, and this is what she told me. Travis did this, did it, did that, did that. But it looks like, you know, if she's taking the stand, she's going to tell the jury herself.
Well, he may have said something to the effect of, you'll hear from the defendant, which they often say in opening arguments, opening statements, and often it's simply you're going to see a videotape of the person talking or an audio tape, so we don't know for sure. But Beth, how crazy, first of all, I have so many questions for you. The family of Travis Alexander, they are in the courtroom, they're walking in and out of court during all of this. In other words, their lives were disrupted so much the first trial. Now this one's dragging on again. Do we have any sense of how they're holding up?
Well, you know, they're not talking to the media, so I can only gauge by seeing them every day. And, you know, it's early in the trial. This is day 7, although I don't think the jury heard anything today, and there's no court for the jury tomorrow. But Stephen...
And by the way, we're probably going to see this on Tuesday morning, so... No, it's okay. We always like to be transparent, but by the time folks see this on Tuesday morning, there's no court on Tuesday. Basically.
Right, there's no court on Tuesday for the jury, but the lawyers have been told to come at 1:30. Now, we're in the Mountain Time Zone now. That clocks have changed. We were Pacific Time Zone. Now it's Mountain Time Zone here. They don't change the clocks. So that'll be 3:30 Eastern Time. The lawyers will come in and tell the judge what they want to do about the Court of Appeals order staying the trial, because there's apparently a dispute about interpreting what another part of the order means. And the judge, may have told them, well, come in and tell me what you're going to do. Are you going to ask the Court of Appeals for clarification? Are you going to file another brief? What are you going to do? So that's at 1:30 tomorrow.
Beth, let me ask you, is the craziness starting? It seems like that. It seems like all these mega trials that I've ever covered, whether it's OJ or the Robert Blake trial or the Michael Jackson child molestation trial or the Casey Anthony trial or the whichever, on and on and on, they are like runaway freight trains. Somehow you don't know what the heck's going to happen from one moment to the next, and there's always these crazy, I wouldn't call them crazy necessarily, but these unexpected intervening incidents that stop the trial in its tracks or have it veer off in another direction. And to me, that is the mark of a mega trial, where expect the unexpected. Is this happening again?
You know, I think it is because of the closure of the courtroom. You know, it doesn't have the same feel this year because it's not being televised live. There are the local TV trucks outside, but it's not, you know, it doesn't have the same media presence that it had last year, but there's still a very solid core group of people, you know, myself included, who are following it and doing everything we can to get the information out. So I do think that this twist, which I've never seen in almost 30 years of practicing or reporting on trials, closing the courtroom at the request of the defense where it doesn't fit into any of those typical categories for closing a courtroom, that is something I never could have anticipated, and it's a little bit of the craziness.
Yeah, I agree. Well, listen, I want to thank you for your wisdom. I always appreciate your trial analysis because you know every nuance and every detail. Tell us once again where to go if people want even more of this, and I'm definitely signing up. I'm taking notes right now. I'm writing it down on my phone because I'm very modern. Tell us again where to go.
Well, it's karrasoncrime.com, but you know the beginning is http:// http, no S, http:// karrasoncrime.com. It's a subscription site, $5.99 a month, but I promise you that you are going to get your money's worth if you are really interested in the Jodi Arias trial. That's all it has right now, and if there's enough interest in this site, then I will develop it further and go on and cover other trials.
We need Beth Karas analyzing trials. We need you out there giving us the inside scoop as only you can. Really, your knowledge it trumps anybody else I've ever seen in the courtrooms, taking the testimony, breaking it down, but also remembering all the little nuances and all the details and everybody's names and every little slice of the law. So thank you again, Beth Karas, for coming on Facebook.com/JaneVelezMitchell. And I hope you'll come back before this saga is over. We'd like to hear from you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you.
In a perfect world once a week. So we'll see you soon. Thanks, Beth.
Thank you.
Bye.